In today's story, I want to share an experience from my life that began as an ordinary afternoon, but slowly transformed into an uncomfortable and deeply unsettling situation, all because a person who didn't understand what I was doing jumped to conclusions and reacted in the most dramatic way possible, turning something harmless into something tense and unforgettable. And it all started while I was sitting inside my car in the warm late afternoon sunlight, parked quietly in the lot outside the shopping center, letting the cool air from the AC fill the cabin while I rested for a moment. After carrying my groceries and scrolling through my phone to reply to a few pending messages that I hadn't had time to respond to earlier in the day, I remember leaning back in the driver's seat while the faint hum of nearby traffic mixed with the distant sound of shopping carts and quiet footsteps across the pavement. And as I opened a chat from my coworker Sam, who had just sent a detailed voice message about our upcoming project deadline, I decided that instead of typing a long reply, it would be easier to respond with a voice note. So I lifted my phone slightly in front of me, pressed the record button, and started speaking in a calm tone while explaining my thoughts about the project, focusing on my words and trying to sound clear and professional because I wanted him to understand that I was fully aligned with our plan. While I was talking, completely absorbed in what I was saying and unaware of anything else around me, I eventually felt that strange instinctive sensation that slowly creeps over you when someone's eyes are fixed on you for longer than a casual glance. And as I paused for a fraction of a moment to breathe, the kind of expression that already looks irritated and suspicious even before a single word is spoken, as if she had already formed some conclusion about me in her mind. I finished the last line of my voice message, hit send, lowered my phone, and before I could even process the situation, the woman stepped closer toward my window with sharp, demanding energy in her posture, and in a firm, almost confrontational tone, she said, "Excuse me," in a way that made it clear she wasn't asking a friendly question, but rather preparing to accuse me of something she believed I had done. I turned my head slowly, confused and slightly startled, and tried to respond politely as I said, and when I hesitated for a moment, trying to understand what she meant, she immediately followed it with an accusation, saying that she saw me recording, that my phone was pointed at her, and that I had taken a video of her without consent, which she insisted was illegal, even though I had done nothing even remotely close to what she was imagining. In that instant, my confusion shifted into disbelief because I hadn't recorded anyone. I hadn't aimed my phone at her, and I hadn't even realized she was nearby. Yet she had already created an entire narrative in her mind where I was some suspicious stranger, secretly filming her. So I tried to keep my voice calm while explaining that I wasn't recording video and that I had simply been sending a voice note, but instead of listening or even considering the possibility that she might be mistaken, she scoffed dismissively and demanded proof, speaking with the tone of someone who believed she had authority over me, simply because she felt uncomfortable. I could feel irritation rising beneath the surface because I knew I wasn't obligated to prove anything to a stranger in a public parking lot, especially when I hadn't done anything wrong. And after I calmly told her that I didn't need to prove something just because she misunderstood, her face stiffened with anger and indignation, and in the very next moment she reached into her purse, pulled out her phone, and with exaggerated urgency declared that she was calling the police, loudly announcing that she felt unsafe and that I had recorded her without consent, even though none of that was true. As she paced near my car while speaking dramatically on the phone, her eyes still locked on me like she was waiting for me to panic or run away, I stayed exactly where I was, because I knew that if I drove off, she would twist the situation into evidence of guilt. So instead I remained seated, hands visible, heart beating a little faster, because even when you know you're innocent, being accused of something you didn't do creates a heavy tension that you can feel inside your chest. The officer listened carefully and nodded with understanding, while the woman continued protesting from the side, insisting that she knew what she saw, that my phone had been pointed at her, and that I must have been lying. But the second officer calmly explained to her that there was no video. And how quickly an innocent person can be placed in the position of a suspect simply because another person refuses to question their assumptions. The entire scene replayed itself in my mind. The staring, the accusations, the phone call, the flashing lights, the disbelief. And false assumptions can create moments that stay with you long after the parking lot disappears. In the rearview mirror,